And we are live. Welcome, OmniDogs and OmniKittens, to Baturdays in the Batcave. I'm OmniDog, and I'm joined by Taylor and special guest Bat Sam.
Yeah, as their third co-host. He just woke up from a nap a minute ago, so he could be a ticking time bomb right now. Trying to show off his ears and his little outfit.
Bat Sam, how's it going?
Say hi, Sam. Say hi to all the people in the chat. All right, Sam. I don't want to ruin this streak you have, so I'm going to take you to your mom. All right. Let me set the show real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay. Today we're talking about, well, Taylor already has the new Absolute that has both the stories in the deluxe and the Absolute. I had to buy the deluxe to get the extra stories. And so I have both of these things. But he has the Absolute, the new Absolute, and you may say there's not a lot of Batman in New Frontier, but the parts of New Frontier that have Batman in them are very important. So that's why we're talking about New Frontier, especially the extra stories at the very end have some very important Batman stuff in them. Especially when the Trinity is formed.
Oh, yeah.
Like right here. When the Trinity is formed, that's very important because it involves Bruce Wayne and Batman. That's actually a pretty famous story, that Darwyn Cooke story about the Trinity being formed. So this was your first time reading New Frontier. What did you think?
Well, overall, I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. But I think the hard thing was for me, I've been in the Omnibus group now probably for, 3 or 4 years, ever since it was created. And I think that it's just been so overhyped for me that it couldn't possibly meet my expectations. But I really did enjoy it. I liked it a lot. I just didn't love it as much as I expected to. You know what I mean? Sometimes books can just be so built up in your mind that nothing can really meet that expectation. But I definitely see why this book is so important to so many people, and I'm really happy to have it in my collection in this really awesome Absolute format. So I really did enjoy it overall. I do have some minor complaints that I'll get into in a couple minutes. And Marcelo Ramos asked if there's going to be any spoilers. We're going to stay free from spoilers today.
Yeah, I don't think I thank you for saying nice sweater, Duck Collector. I appreciate it. I don't think I think we can talk about this pretty easily without spoiling it.
Yeah, I feel like even if we did say the whole thing, it's not really a surprising book. Nothing happens that really surprises me, but it was an excellently told story. So we'll steer clear of spoilers. We won't talk about too much. We'll just talk mostly about our favorite scenes and what we felt about the book overall. So we're both approaching this review from different perspectives. Jess has read this book many, many times. Would you say over 5 times?
This was probably my 6th time reading it, yeah.
Okay, so this is my first time as a newbie, so we're both coming from different perspectives. So you probably have caught on to a lot of different things in the book that I haven't. So it should be a really interesting conversation. And we're also going to talk about the New Frontier animated movie, which I just watched last night.
And I saw it probably back in 2008 or whenever it came out. Was it word for word, or did it have Batman say, "I can take you out with a match"?
Yeah, he was talking about how I spent $70,000 on kryptonite. For you, Martian Manhunter, all I need is a penny to buy a book of matches.
Okay, I thought it was "take you out with a match." Okay, a penny to buy.
So it's not word for word. They do take some things out, like the first 20 or 30 pages where it's on that dinosaur island. That's completely taken out.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, these DC movies are made on a shoestring budget, and they have to stick to 75 to 80 minutes. So they had to condense a 500-page epic and a 75-minute movie. So I thought they did an excellent job of it overall. I'll get more thoughts on it later.
I think it's a great animated movie.
So it pretty much is a direct adaptation. And one of the reasons why it was so successful is because they had Darwyn Cooke on as a creative consultant before he passed away. I think he passed away, 3 years ago? That movie came out in 2008.
Yeah.
So he's still with us.
Right.
But more than anything, this book has really reinforced in my mind how amazing of an artist Darwyn Cooke really is. They have a special feature on this Blu-ray that I have about Darwyn Cooke, and they describe him in the perfect way. They say that he is the artist's artist, that every single artist is envious of him and wants to be like him because of how amazing he really is. Because if you're somewhat new to comics, Darwyn Cooke's art might seem cartoony and simplistic, but the longer you're in this medium, the more extraordinary his art becomes.
Yeah.
He cuts out all the unnecessary parts and puts in what is necessary. And his art is so dynamic. It's so unique. You can always tell it's a Darwyn Cooke.
Right.
Picture. You can tell it's a Darwyn Cooke drawing. And that's a sign of a great artist to me, that they have their own unique brand, that when you see their work, you can tell it's them.
He's got his own style, and it's got the bare minimum of lines, which I think is amazing. It's got the bare minimum of lines, but it uses them to maximum effort,
right?
For facial expression and things like that. Especially with the eyes, he draws eyes that are just really expressive, especially on women. He can make any woman in the world look incredibly attractive with those eyes that he does, and they're just so expressive. And it's just a few lines. That's what's incredible. You know, you get somebody that does a bunch of cross hatching and this and that and stuff, and it's really great. But then you get Darwyn Cooke, and it's just a couple of lines, and he just uses it to beautiful effect.
Yeah, I think the artist I can most compare him to is Bruce Timm. They both have a very similar style, and tying into what you said about gorgeous ladies, Bruce Timm can draw women he can draw very beautiful women as well. So they have very similar styles. They're very sparse. They're very specific. Some people might label them simplistic, but they're actually difficult. Drawing like that is hard. Trying to limit the amount of lines that you have. Every line has to have a meaning. Like you said, it has to be purposeful. There are no mistakes. They have to be perfect in a way. So actually, it's not simplistic. It's very difficult.
Right.
And so, like Jeff said earlier, this book doesn't feature Batman a lot, but he does make a big impression when he does show up. And the main characters of this book are Hal Jordan, Barry Allen, and John Jones, the Martian Manhunter. And Superman and Wonder Woman are also big parts of the book as well, but I wouldn't say they're constantly in the spotlight. They show up throughout the book, but they're by no means the main character.
Yeah, actually, here's a good shot of what we're talking about with minimum of lines but maximum effect. The scene with the Flash, just look at how dynamic that is, and that's really not that many lines that he's using. And then you can look over at the guys, the mirror, the guys' faces, and you can see just with the eyebrows, the wrinkles in the forehead, he can show the difference between youth and age really easily. They're very kind of in between cartoony and human, but you still get the emotional impact with them. And I just, this is one of my favorite scenes because of the Flash. He's a blur, and how he's just super dynamic with not a lot of lines needed here.
Yeah, it's a really cool scene whenever Captain Cold is yelling, "Wait!" as he's running really fast, and he pulls up his fist right in front of his face before he really hits him hard.
Yeah.
And Captain Cold tells him he has bombs all throughout Las Vegas, so the Flash has to go all around and find them. He ends up jumping through a helicopter and punching Captain Cold into a big fountain and freezing him. That was really
awesome.
Cool. That was a really cool scene. I think a lot of people don't really know how to use the Flash effectively, because he's probably the hardest character to put to a comics medium, because his power is about movement, and movement can be very difficult in comic books, but Darwyn Cooke does it very well here. He's very adept at drawing the Flash and making it look very dynamic, making it actually look like he is moving. That was a really cool scene. Yeah, him jumping the helicopter. That was cool in the movie too.
Yeah, now I know I really need to watch the movie like right after this.
It's only an hour and 15 minutes long. It doesn't take you very long.
I remember it was a gift from a friend when I first got sober. So it means a lot to me because I watched it when I was newly sober. They knew I was into comic books, and they said, "Hey, here's something I picked up." They didn't even know how cool it was. They just said, "Here's a gift for you."
That's a pretty good gift for first.
I know. They just
anything about
saw it at Best Buy or something, and I was like, "Wow, cool, okay." And I knew nothing about it. I knew the book was cool, but and then I watched it and I said, "Wow, these animated movies are really good."
Yeah, it's definitely up there for one of the better DC animated movies. My favorite's still always going to be The Dark Knight Returns. And that is such a good movie because I have the Blu-ray where it combines part 1 and 2, and it's like a 2.5-hour movie, and it's excellent. It was such a great adaptation of that book, and the fight between Batman and Superman at the end is so much better than the fight in Batman v Superman. It's so much better. I didn't really think the fight in Batman v Superman was that great. I thought it was okay. But in this movie,
the live-action movie we're talking about?
Yeah, the live-action movie. The fight scene in this animated movie makes it look ridiculous and clunky. It was so good. You'll definitely watch that sometime.
Yeah, and I don't actually care that it's matte paper. I think it actually adds to it. It's matte paper in the deluxe, and I believe it's matte paper. You have matte paper in the
absolute? Oh, mine's glossy in the absolute. It's thick,
it is
pages, yes.
Okay, it's matte paper in the deluxe. Let me see about my absolute.
Yeah, it's a thick, glossy page. Someone was just asking in the chat about that. Someone
said, it's glossy in my absolute too.
Does anyone else prefer the glossy paper in the new absolutes more? Feels like it fits the story well. I like matte paper and glossy paper. I'm not the kind of person who prefers one over the other. I think they're fine as long as the matte paper is good quality. It doesn't feel like a newspaper. Like the matte paper they're using in the new DC releases, I don't have a problem with personally. I know some people do, but I don't. But I do like glossy pages in an absolute. I feel like they do belong more in an absolute format because they're really thick and weighty pages. So should I read the summary of the plot just in case people haven't heard of the book or haven't read it before? I'm sure everyone's heard of it, but let me just read the plot for you, or the summary of it. Welcome to mid-century America and the silver age of the DC universe, a time of promise and paranoia, of shimmering cities and segregated slums, of dizzying scientific progress and simmering Cold War conflict, a land without superheroes. The masked mystery men who fought for freedom during the Second World War have been outlawed. The soldiers and spies who conducted top-secret missions into the unknown now work in the shadows, and those icons who do still fight on, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, operate under hidden agendas and dueling ideologies. Yet this America needs its heroes more than ever. With darkness gathering on the horizon once more, only a bold new generation of adventurers, young and daring and dedicated to the better angels of our nature, is equal to the challenge of the new frontier. So essentially, in this book, the DC heroes need to come together. They need to unite against this big bad called the Center. And the Center is essentially the sentient island, the sentient creature that has existed on Earth since the dawn of time, essentially. And the Center is just tired of the violence of humankind. He's afraid, well, I guess, is afraid of the nuclear capabilities that the world now has, and wants to wipe out all life on Earth. That is the basic plot. We're not going to get into spoilers, but I think we all know how it ends to some degree.
We're all still here.
Yeah. Everyone dies on Earth. That's the end.
Yeah, and I thought that was a good way to it almost kind of reminded me of Watchmen, how it used a kind of a giant, almost alien type creature to unite except that it was just the United States heroes, but it was a worldwide kind of disaster waiting to happen because it would have wiped out life on Earth, and so that's what made it okay to have superheroes again. So I guess my comparison to Watchmen really doesn't count.
Well, towards the beginning, Superman and Wonder Woman are really involved in American war efforts across the world, like in the Korean War. And you really see Superman really battling within himself about this. Should I really be involved in this situation? Or should I really be taking sides? Shouldn't I be the world's superhero,
Yeah.
not America's superhero?
Yeah.
So that's a big conflict that Superman has in the book. And Wonder Woman and him kind of butt heads because she wants to allow people
Right
to,
back.
to kill the villains, whereas Superman wants to protect all life, regardless of who it is, whether it's someone who's on the opposite end of a battle with him. And I would say essentially this comic is Darwyn Cooke's love letter to the Silver Age of DC and the 50s as well. And I really appreciated the attention to detail throughout this book. Cooke goes to painstaking lengths to really transport the DC universe into our modern world history. And I really appreciate that he didn't just paint the 50s as an idyllic Norman Rockwell painting.
Oh, right.
He showed that there was a lot of ugliness. There's a lot of racism back in the good old days.
Yeah.
It's why I kind of roll my eyes when people say, can't we just go back to the way things were in the 50s? I mean, back when segregation and racism was part of our laws, like that's the good old days.
Right.
It never has been good old days. Every single era had its own problems and
Right.
need to be addressed. And the 50s had their problems as well. So I appreciate that Cooke really looks at it from an objective stance. He shows, hey, there were great things about the 50s. It was also a tough time for a lot of people, especially minorities. And he really focuses on that in the John Henry storyline. This man who was really abused by the Ku Klux Klan and how he really takes out his anger by fighting against them. I'm not going to get into how that story ends, but it's a really part of the heart of this story, showing you that heroes don't always win.
Yeah, and I would have liked to have seen more of that John Henry's story.
Yeah,
Justice type of character.
It's almost really explored in the new Watchmen TV show. And
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin that. It's a totally different character, but they talk about Hooded Justice, and they have a big episode about Hooded Justice and Watchmen. I don't want to get into spoilers, but definitely watch Watchmen if you haven't already. There's an excellent episode about Hooded Justice.
Yeah, I would. For the first time, I didn't subscribe to HBO for Game of Thrones, but I would say Watchmen is worth a subscription to HBO.
Oh yeah,
it is. I know this is a tangent, but it's a worthwhile tangent because I think Watchmen is one of the most creative, amazingly written, incredibly unpredictable shows I have ever seen. And I'm not going to throw out the age card. Okay, I'm throwing out the age card. I've seen a lot of TV and I've seen a lot of crappy TV, that's for sure. I lived through the 70s, so
hey, there's some good shows back then.
What's that?
There were some good shows back then.
So but boy, you guys really need to see the Watchmen TV show. Even if it only is one season, I have a good feeling that tomorrow night's gonna be a great ending. And no matter how it ends, I just think it's gonna be a great ending, and I just think it is a brilliant TV show.
I wish we could talk about it more in depth, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody because I would hate to spoil it because that show needs to be a surprise to you. Go in cold. Don't know anything about it. Don't watch a trailer. Just watch it.
Yeah.
Just wait for all the episodes to drop. It'll be over tomorrow night and just binge it. And you'll enjoy it so much.
Right.
So before we go on, I just want to say towards the end of this video, after our review, we will have time for Q&A. So be thinking of any questions you have, not just about Batman, but about comics, movies, video games, TV shows. So stick around towards the end and we'll have a time of Q&A as well. So this story really brought a question to my mind, Jess. And the question was, what makes the DC heroes so distinct from Marvel characters? Because I don't think this story would have worked as well in the Marvel 616 universe. I think it's very much a DC-centric story.
I think that what makes it work is exactly what is the problem with their movies. Is that these characters are a lot lighter and more optimistic, I think, in this book than Marvel characters are. And if they had transferred that over to the movies, instead of making them all grim and dark, I think the movies would have been more successful. But there always seems, I mean, there's conflict in this book, but there's always the sense of hope to me that things will get resolved in a reasonable way. That's my take on it, because we really don't even see that much of Green Lantern as Green Lantern. I hope that's not a spoiler. We see more of Hal Jordan being Hal Jordan,
Right.
and what he goes through as a person. And he goes through, I mean, really 9/10 of the book is him as Hal Jordan getting beat up mentally by, constantly getting his ass handed to him, sort of, in a way that he's the cocky fly boy, and he's always getting it pushed back in his face, and so he has a lot of growing up to do and things like that. But we see him as a civilian more than as a Green Lantern,
Right.
And same with Flash. That I always feel like there seems to be like a ray of hope with these characters in this book, which is why I think it would. That's a really good question. What sets it apart from Marvel is. So
you think it's a sense of hope that
Yeah.
really sets it apart. And I personally think that Marvel characters are more personal and relatable.
Oh, okay.
While DC heroes are more mythological and aspirational.
Okay.
And Marvel says these heroes are just like you, while DC says these characters are lofty examples of who you should strive to be. So the DC characters are above us. We're called to look up to them. While
Yeah.
the Marvel heroes are on our level, and we're saying, hey, I can be just like these heroes. They're just like me.
Right.
I think they accomplish the same aspirational end that we want to be like these characters, but they do it in a very different way. Like, even look at this cover to the Absolute. Just look how mythological this picture is. Like, they're just displayed as gods in a way.
Yeah.
They're just
Well-
so distinct and so unique. And even
Yeah.
Batman and Superman, I think you could argue that the Superman symbol and the Bat logo are the most identifiable symbols on the planet right now. I
Yeah.
would say, except for distant jungles and villages, like in the heart of Africa, most people can identify these symbols to some degree. They're very popular. Whereas Spider-Man's definitely up there, but Superman and Batman, just those logos are so iconic. I think
You know what's iconic in those distant jungles is that's where all those Super Bowl winner T-shirts and caps get sent that the loser has printed up.
right.
Those get sent to third world countries almost immediately.
Oh yeah, for sure. But they don't. I mean, they don't really care. It's great that they do that. You wish they could send the nicer stuff to them, but I get it.
Yeah.
With it, and it's better to send it to charity than to burn it. So that's good at least. But yeah, they definitely. But they also get Batman and Superman shirts too.
Right.
I've been to Africa before, twice.
We have.
I've seen kids wearing these shirts in Kenya before. Like kids who have nothing, kids who live in little shacks, but they have Batman and Superman shirts that people ship from the United States or from other countries as well. So kids are identifying with these characters, even if they don't really know a lot about them because they don't have television and they don't have access to comic books.
Right.
These are identifiable figures, for sure. And I was in Haiti a couple years ago, too, and I saw kids wearing Batman T-shirts there. So that's definitely popular across the world. So I definitely think this is a very DC-centric story, and it wouldn't have worked as well in the Marvel universe. I think Darwyn Cooke really worked well with these characters.
Right.
I don't think he's ever done a Marvel book, has he?
Sorry?
Did he ever do a Marvel book? I don't think he ever did.
A Marvel book.
I think he's. Let us know in the chat if you guys know. I don't think he ever did a Marvel book over the course of his career. I could be wrong.
Well, he drew the Spirit. That's as far away from DC as he got, I think.
Okay.
He did those Parker books.
I'm excited to read that new Martini edition coming out.
Yeah. And then coming out with the second Martini edition.
Yeah, they're reprinting the original one. They're going to put a second one out eventually, right? Is that the
Yeah.
plan? I'm really looking forward to that. We're hoping to talk about that on Crime Corner at some point. I'm really looking forward to reading that for the first time. I've held off on buying those small little hardcovers because the Martini edition, it's even bigger than an Absolute, isn't it? Or it's at least it's like similar size, I think.
Let's see. It's over. I think they're similar size. It's over here. Let me see. It's bigger than an Absolute. It's about half an inch taller than an Absolute.
Okay. Yeah, so in the chat or in the comments, let us know if you prefer the DC characters versus the Marvel characters and why. Let us know why you prefer one set of characters to another. And so, like I said, Batman's not a big part of this book, but his scenes where he does appear are my favorite parts, hands down. And I really loved his first scene when he's fighting the occultists who are trying to sacrifice that young child. And
Yeah.
a strange ritual to the center. Let me find that page for you real quick. And so to set up the story, this page, it's Slam Bradley and John Jones. So at this point, John Jones is trying to blend in with everyone else, and he is a detective for the GCPD, and Slam Bradley is his partner. And they walk in on Batman fighting a bunch of these occultists. And I love this scene. It's back with the old 30s styles look for Batman with the curved ears. It was so cool.
Yeah.
And I really love what Slam Bradley says about Batman in this scene, because he really just identifies what makes Batman so cool in BA. He says this while he's watching Batman beat up these occultists. The Nancy outfit aside, this guy fights like the devil himself. Now, you know me. I've seen my share of hard candy. I was a jarhead in the Pacific. There was even a time I collected for the Juice Man just to make ends meet. But this Bat guy, he made my blood run cold. The look on his face, the sounds that came out of the creep underneath him. It is the sound of the wrist breaking that finally does it. The remaining freaks run blubbering into the shadows. That's so cool. And it's Cooke portraying Batman as a scary figure of the shadows who strikes fear even to the toughest heroes and villains. That was so cool. And I think you have a certain favorite scene of Batman, right? That you already talked about. That line he says to John Jones.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. I didn't have it.
So basically, during that scene,
I'll have to find it.
To set up Jess's favorite part of the book, or at least the favorite Batman part, Batman, when they're fighting, he knocks over these candles and it starts catching this cathedral on fire. And the Martian Manhunter, that's his weakness as a Martian, is fire. And so Batman sees this and he knows that the Martian's weakness is fire. And he kind of uses that against him and lets him know, hey, I think you're on my side, but if you're not, I can take you out. And essentially he says, hey, I spent $70,000 buying kryptonite to take care of Superman. All I need for you is a penny to buy a box of matches, and I can take you out. Again, it's just Batman always having backup plans, always knowing how to take people out, which is most seen in Tower of Babel by Mark Waid, that he knows exactly how to take out every single superhero, and he's ready at a moment's notice to do what is necessary. And this book is just so big, it's hard to find the scenes you're looking for.
I know, and because it covers so many different characters and so many different I mean, from one page to the next, you could be talking about Wonder Woman, then you're talking about, here it is. Let's see. You see the look of fear on John, and then the bat ears in the background.
Right.
When he's saying that. With you, all I need is a penny for a book of matches.
That's a really good scene.
That's a boss line, and it's look at the look of fear right there, and then the bat shadow in the background. I just think that is the coolest.
Yeah, Darwyn Cooke definitely knows how to establish a scene and a picture, just a frame. He's like an expert director as an artist. He knows exactly where to put the metaphorical camera in a way. And one of my favorite parts of this book is a really small moment where Batman is revealing to it's hard to open up absolutes. in this way, where Batman reveals to Superman what's going on, and he has a changed costume. He has like the 1950s, 1960s look with the curved eyebrows, and he has Robin on as a sidekick. And Superman's kind of thrown off by this, and he's like, hey, what's up with the outfit change? What's going on with you? You used to be a lot darker and grimmer. And Batman says this line, I set out to scare criminals, not children. As for the boy, I guess we're just two lost souls who found each other. I love that line because it perfectly encapsulates Batman and Robin's relationship. In Dick, Batman, Bruce sees the opportunity to help a child deal with his pain and channel it for the greater good. And I think Bruce's greatest success as a father is helping Dick not become like him. Because Dick is essentially the opposite of Bruce. He's optimistic,
Right.
He's happy, he's joyful. Bruce and Alfred help Dick to not become Bruce. And that's one of Bruce's greatest accomplishments. And I just love this scene because a lot of times people think, oh, Robin's so stupid, Robin's not necessary. But Robin is really essential to making Batman a better man, to making Bruce more sympathetic, more loving. I love stories without Robin, but if Robin didn't exist, I don't think Batman would be the Batman that we know and love. I think Robin does need to exist to some degree to make Batman who he really is, even though he doesn't have to be in every story and shouldn't be.
About how many episodes, percentage-wise, in BTAS is Robin in?
Well, they end up changing the title of it for a little bit to The Adventures of Batman and Robin.
Oh,
And then the New Adventures of Batman and Robin. So Robin's in it a lot. I think you watched the first couple episodes, and he's in a couple of those, right? He's in the Scarecrow No, he's not in that one.
he was in the Joker Christmas.
Yeah, he's not prevalent in the first several episodes, but he gets more and more often throughout the second and third seasons. So you'll see him a lot more. And then in the final season, you see Dick Grayson become Nightwing, and Tim Drake becomes a new Robin.
Ah, okay.
Batgirl comes in season 3.
Oh, okay, good.
Batgirl's great. You'll love Batgirl.
And when does Harley come in?
She shows up in the first season pretty early on in the episode called Joker's Favor.
Oh, okay. Well, I need to get going then.
That was the first appearance of her ever.
Yeah.
You're definitely getting close. So a couple people answered our question in the chat about DC characters versus Marvel characters. Let me just read their answers real quick.
You want me to put them up? Which one are you going to read first?
Barnacle Blake. Great name, by the way.
Barnacle Blake the Sailor.
Yeah, so DC characters feel grittier to me. DC villains have a very horror movie feel, so it's satisfying to see them get it in the end. Love DC detectives. So to him, DC characters feel grittier. I guess so that might be opposed to what you're saying, where you think they seem more hopeful. So I guess it's a difference of opinion there.
I was directing it more towards this book.
Oh, okay, got it. All right.
Yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about, but I was thinking more in terms of this book. To me, it seems like they're more optimistic and hopeful in this book. But yeah, I don't know. It
really depends on the characters. Like Batman's super gritty. Superman shouldn't be. Flash isn't. Green Lantern can be. Wonder Woman, depending on how you want to do her stories, whereas Marvel has gritty characters as well. I think it really depends upon which character you're talking about. If you're talking about Daredevil and Punisher, they're definitely gritty, or Moon Knight.
Yeah. Also, when you say Wonder Woman, I also want to mention that Cooke really shows her to be the Amazon that she is.
Oh, yeah. He draws
her taller than Superman and much
bigger. She's big, yeah.
Yeah.
She actually looks like she could take you out. As opposed to some renditions of Wonder Woman where she's kind of like really skinny and small, which is fine. But you actually feel like she's intimidating in this book. Like she's like 2 inches taller than Superman or something, which is I've never seen in a book before.
She's got super thick, tree trunk legs, and she's got muscular arms, and she looks like an Amazonian. So I really like the way that he draws her. She looks like she's supposed to. Yeah, like here she is. She's way taller than Eisenhower.
Yeah, she wasn't in the book a lot, but I really did like how he drew her. especially in that one scene I'll be getting to with Batman and Superman, how she kind of comes in between them and gets them to unite. That was my favorite scene with her, and it wasn't even the main story.
That's a clutch. That's a clutch moment.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's a story that I've read more on its own than I've read the whole book.
It's a long book for sure. It's a long book. It took me several days to really finish it.
Yeah, but I read that little Trinity story a lot for some reason.
And then Marcellus Ramos also says he prefers DC characters better. He thinks they're less silly. He grew up loving Spider-Man, though. He used to feel DC characters were very boring, even though they had potential. Nowadays, he mostly reads DC.
Okay.
I'm not trying to start like a DC Marvel, battle here. I think you should love both. You don't have to, say I'm just a Marvel person, I'm just a DC person. But I think we all tend to, steer towards one company over the other, even though we can love both. Like for me, I love DC because Batman's there. And so I like Marvel better overall, but DC has Batman, and that's my favorite character. So I feel kind of pulled there, but we can love both at the same exact time. And so Jess and I were just mentioning, at least my favorite part of the book, I don't know about you, was when Batman was fighting Superman. And can you show off that artwork towards the end? Because it's hard to show off in the Absolute because it's so big, and you can show it off in your deluxe.
Yeah.
And this is a story that is in the new Absolute, but it's not in the old Absolute. So if you have the old Absolute, this story that we're referencing isn't there. This story is in the deluxe edition, which Jess also has, and the new reprint of the Absolute. So essentially, this story shows how Superman is ordered by the government to stop Batman. It's very similar to the end of Dark Knight Returns in a way, that Batman's a problem. He won't submit to the government. So they order Superman, hey, you need to take care of this now. And I just love how Batman is constantly 2 steps ahead of Superman.
Yeah.
He's almost never on the, the bad end of this fight. That scene is so awesome where he literally shoots Superman with a kryptonite tipped harpoon and drags him around with his Batmobile, which made me laugh out loud. I loved that scene so much. And then Batman actually has a lead plate behind his mask to hide his identity. Until at the end where Wonder Woman steps in and says, you guys are being stupid. This whole fight is pointless. You need to stop fighting each other and work together because the world needs you. So the main hero of this story isn't Batman, it's not Superman, it's Wonder Woman. And it really highlights why the Trinity is so important. Because in some ways, Batman and Superman are exact opposites, and they need Wonder Woman, who's more in the middle of the spectrum, to really keep them together. And it shows why Wonder Woman is so essential to this Trinity. That she's the voice of reason with these two. Because Superman is so optimistic, Batman is so pessimistic, while Wonder Woman is the best of both worlds.
Right.
She's an expert warrior. She knows that sometimes you need to go to that extra length like Batman will, but Superman won't. She's almost a perfect combination of the two, in my opinion. So I don't know about you, Jess, but that was my favorite part of the book, even though it wasn't part of the main story. Like, look at that page.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I love that. That's why I read this story so many times. I love reading that story. I read it more than, it's one of those stories that I just dip into every so often just because I love it so much.
Right. It's very much reminiscent of The Dark Knight Returns, but the ending is much more hopeful, and it really shows off the Trinity as opposed to just Batman and Superman. And it also casts Superman in a better light than Dark Knight Returns does. Frank Miller isn't very kind with Superman. You can tell he wasn't a huge fan of him back then, even though he's doing a lot more Superman stuff now.
Yeah.
And so do you have any critique for this book, Jess? Or is it pretty much a 10 out of 10 perfect for you?
I don't know that it's perfect. I would have liked a little more Batman. I would have liked a little more. I would have liked to have seen Batman in the final battle with the final issue of the final creature. I thought it was great the way they introduced Aquaman.
He was barely in the book. Blink and you'll miss him.
Yeah. I liked this really spoke to me on a lot of levels because, like you're right, it is a love letter to the Silver Age. So, you know, Slam Bradley and all these things that they were talking about, Challengers of the Unknown. I feel like the Sea Devils I spotted, and it was it, it was just a lot of fun. I don't. If I have any criticism, it's just that I didn't get to see enough of a particular character, and I I mean, it even had King Faraday. That's a way deep cut.
I'd never heard of him before. What was he from?
He was his
Oh, really?
own. He was. It was either. I think there were some showcase issues that had King Faraday. He was like a spy.
Oh, okay. I never heard of him before, but I'm not an expert by any means in the Silver Age like you are.
Well, I don't know that I'm an expert. I just was
Compared
there
to me,
for it. I was just there for it.
that's true. I didn't exist back then, so you have it over me there.
Yeah, I liked all the callbacks to all these guys, and I loved how much Martian Manhunter was in it because I do like Martian Manhunter.
And I love how Cook kind of made him the objective narrator in a way of the story.
Yeah,
And it really shows us the positives, the negatives, the strengths, and the weaknesses of America. He shows you, hey, this is why America's great, and this is the problems that America has back in the 50s. I thought that was really a smart decision on Cook's part of having an objective third party of a Martian watching our society and saying, this is what's wrong with it, and this is what's great about it.
yeah, and you didn't. Cook didn't even have to form or push an agenda or say an opinion. All he had to do was just report on how things were going. Just state the facts on like what the 50s were like. You know, with the paranoia and the paranoia about communism, segregation, and stuff. Those are just facts that those things happened, and you know. And that's what Martian Manhunter was observing. And so it's not like Cook had an agenda or anything. He was just actually just reporting on how things were. So
right.
I thought it was, I mean, these are pretty powerful pages here with this Edward R. Murrow type character and Hooded Justice, about the demise of Hooded Justice. I'm calling him Hooded Justice, but I mean it's John Henry.
Yeah, let's call him John Henry.
Yeah.
I really liked how Cook inserted the news articles, the children's book pages, police files throughout the book to give it a sense of realism, to make it feel like it is actually happening in the world back in the 1950s. It's not just in the DC universe. It feels like it's happening right now. And that really ties into the ending, where it's the ending is just the narration of the speech by John F. Kennedy about the new frontier.
Right.
I don't think that's a spoiler to the title. That pretty much the final several pages are, you know, panels, pictures overlay with that speech from John F. Kennedy, talking about where America was hopefully going to go after the 50s.
Right.
And so I do have some criticisms. I think my main complaint is that the book has some pacing issues. It takes a long time for the plot to really unfurl and get off the ground.
It does.
I was like 100 pages into the book. I'm like, what's the plot? What's going on? Like, what's like the big bad here? Like the beginning with the dinosaur island was cool, but I was like, where's this going? How does this really tie in? And they do tie it in towards the end, but it was kind of meandering for a little while. I thought there were a lot of unnecessary scenes throughout the book. They were good character moments, but they could have been cut out to make the book kind of move at a more brisk and effective pace. And also, like you said, this book pretty much contains the entire DC universe. It has a massive, massive cast, probably the biggest cast I've ever seen in the comic book. That it has dozens and dozens, if not 100, characters who actually have speech bubbles. There are so many characters to keep up with.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's even hard to find specific scenes in here because every couple pages it's a new scene. Every page is a new scene. And so this is a massive epic. I would say this is like one of the biggest, most epic comics I've ever read. And because of that, one of its weaknesses is that it feels bloated and it kind of feels slow at times.
Oh, okay.
But I understand it was a very deliberate pace, which I think is probably purposeful on Darwyn Cooke's part, but I think it could have benefited from being like 100 pages shorter, or even like 50 pages shorter. Just cut out the unnecessary scenes. And some people might say there are no unnecessary scenes in this book, but I felt there were some where I feel like this wasn't really needed. Like, you didn't need to just jam in this character because it's cool. You know what I mean? So that was probably my biggest complaint. And then also, I'm a Batman guy. Why wasn't Batman in the final fight scene? Come on. And that's why I love this movie. They rectified that massive oversight, and Batman is in the final fight scene in the Batplane. It's like couldn't he have just drawn a couple panels of Batman in the Batplane next to Hal Jordan and the Blackhawks? That would have been so easy. That was the biggest
did I influence you to buy that movie?
You influenced me to buy the Absolute and the movie.
Ah, so there, I got a little turnaround is fair play there. I influenced you to spend your money instead of you influencing me to spend my money.
For those of you who don't know, for a while, me and Tyler were trying to see who could make Jess spend the most money. I retired from that endeavor because it's far too easy. It was like stealing a candy from a baby. I would just say, "Hey, Jess, you're going to love this. It's great." He'd go, "All right, I'm buying it right now." And also, I like Jess. He's my friend, so I don't want to spend too much of his money. But if I believe in something, I never gave you a bad recommendation. I always gave you good recommendations.
That is true.
I never said, "Hey, Jess, buy this crappy book." And try to play. I never played a prank on you or anything, so I don't feel too bad about it. At least got quality stuff out of it.
Right. You're not. This isn't a lead up to Matador, is it?
Oh, you only brought it up, not me. I was going to put that behind us. Actually, Marcelo Ramos has a good comment. Can you highlight
the regarding one?
Yes, the most recent one regarding Marvel. Regarding Marvel versus DC, I like both, but DC has given me clear entry points with the relaunches. I started with Rebirth and New 52. Now I can read any era. Marvel timeline is more intimidating in his opinion. That's a really good point, because DC is better at publishing standalone stories that are outside the main continuity, like Long Halloween, like All-Star Superman, things like that. Dark Knight Returns, where you can pick up this book without knowing very much and get a lot out of it. Marvel doesn't really have that. It has runs that you try to get into. Like X-Men and Spider-Man are very hard to get into, in my opinion. Especially X-Men. I mean, there's some clear spots like New X-Men, Astonishing X-Men, and now Hickman's new run. But DC is much easier just to give someone a trade paperback and say, read this. You don't need to know anything else and you'll be fine. That's harder to do with Marvel, because Marvel, it tends to be more interconnected and their timeline makes a lot more sense than DC's.
Yeah.
There's positives and negatives to both, I think. DC is easier to kind of throw somebody in, but Marvel feels much more cohesive, and it actually feels like the things that are going on actually have ramifications and consequences. While DC is like, okay, we'll just reboot it again and we'll just relaunch it. Whereas Marvel's always stayed in the same timeline. I guess apart from Secret Wars, that kind of did change things up.
Here's Joe.
Yeah, before Jess put up his haul yesterday, I said, "Is this a pain pill order? If so, I'm really excited." That's one of the top 5 Omni Bros moments, is Jess opening up his pain pill order, what was that, 4 or 5 months ago, and you were totally surprised that you bought that Loeb and Sale Batman Omni.
It was.
You have no intention of buying that.
Well, it was still on my wish list. That's what was funny. I was contemplating. I was going back and forth. Am I going to get it? Am I not going to get it? And I'm like, whoa, I ended up buying this. I don't remember that at all.
Edman 40 says, I thought Long Halloween was now in continuity. I'm not 100% sure on that. But in my opinion, you kind of create your own continuity. You can kind of ignore the things you don't like and just put the things in that you do like. Like, I think one of the best ways for someone to get into Batman is to read Batman Year One first, and then jump into Long Halloween and Dark Victory, and then go to Snyder's run. I think that's the best way for a new reader to get into Batman, personally. So I think you kind of create your own continuity for what works best. So you might be right. I'm not sure if Long Halloween's in continuity or not. DC's isn't as clear about that as Marvel is. Because pretty much in Marvel, almost everything's in continuity besides the What If books. All right, so again, I really think this animated movie is very good. I would pick it up. It's only $8.65 on Amazon as of December 14th. So if you're watching this in a year or two from now, don't hold me to that. You can't get mad at me about that. So as of December 14th, 2019, this movie is $8.65 on Amazon. You can also stream it on DC Universe if you want to do that as well. And again, it does a great job of distilling a 500-page comic book into a 75-minute movie. And actually, my biggest criticism of the movie is that it has the opposite problem of the book, that they take out too many scenes and it's kind of clunky transitions. And it kind of is like weird in-between scenes that don't really make as much sense. I think the book could have been 50 pages shorter, whereas the movie could have been 20 minutes longer. I think they both have the opposite problem. But again, they're operating on a really small budget, and they have to make these things happen within a certain window. So even though I do have some criticisms, I would definitely recommend that you buy this Absolute. It is definitely worthy of this amazing format, and I'm so glad I finally have it in my collection. I'm so glad that I read it. Here's what it looks like underneath. And I love this spine on the Absolute box. That's so cool.
That is, I think that's cooler even than my spine. This is my spine. So I love my spine, but I don't know. Your spine is cooler, I think.
It's much more modern and like it's almost modern and retro at the same time. I don't know, I think it's really cool. So I think the big differences between these two Absolutes is just the spine design, some of the other graphic designs, and also my version contains those extra stories that yours doesn't.
That's why I have both. I really should just probably sell this and keep this, but I don't know. I like having it in oversized form, but it's much easier just to read this. And who's going to buy this now when they can buy what you have?
Right.
I'm kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, because right now the only ways there's a bunch of ways to buy it now. There's this new Absolute. They have a paperback. I think they put it under Black Label as a paperback. And I think that deluxe edition's actually out of print. I think yours is hard to find.
Oh, it is? The deluxe edition?
I'm pretty sure the deluxe is out of print. You guys can correct me in the comments or the chat. Marcelo Ramos says, sell both and get the new Absolute. And River says, Jess rocking that amazing Batman sweater. I'm definitely jealous of that, Jess. Where'd you get that? Out of a box?
Sorry?
Did you get that out of like a box that was sent to you, like of different things? Or is it actually?
No, you can. It's from a place that sells sweaters in England, but
cool.
They don't charge much for shipping. They have all kinds of superhero sweaters. You can get it right now.
I should get that same exact one, and we should wear it every single time at the same time. We can be like twins or something.
That is not happening.
We can coordinate outfits. I did demand Tyler tell me where he got that Mandalorian t-shirt he posted on the group. I said, you will tell me where you got this. And I posted a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi doing the Force Mind trick.
Right.
I needed that shirt. So I'm hopefully.
Did you order it?
Not yet, but I'm going to look into it, see if I can buy a couple shirts at the same time to kind of get like maybe 3 or 4 shirts, because I'm really running low on nerd t-shirts.
Oh my gosh, I have so many nerd t-shirts.
I just hate buying shirts online because they're either too small, they're too big, and it's annoying to ship them back and get a new one.
We've had this conversation. Yeah, I've got mine from my local comic book store, and so I can just hold them up and see how they're going to fit.
Right. So I don't know. Hopefully, I'm going to Awesome Con with Jess in DC in May, so I'm hoping to find some cool t-shirts while I'm there.
That's a good idea. I'm sure there'll be some places to buy stuff.
I can at least hold them up and see if they're going to fit to some degree. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to take off my shirt in the middle of the hallway, the middle of the convention floor, and try it on.
No, I don't think you're doing that.
All right. So do you have anything else you want to say about the Absolute or New Frontier in general?
No, I am excited to go watch the movie. But I've also got Harley Quinn episode 3 to watch, so that might win out.
Okay. Like I said, it's a very short movie. It's only an hour and 15 minutes long. So you can watch that and Harley Quinn. It's the length of the usual movie.
Yeah.
They have a double feature, a double animated feature. I would definitely recommend this book to very seasoned readers and new readers. I think anyone could pretty much read this book and enjoy it, in my opinion.
I agree.
It's a book. This Absolute should always be evergreen. It should never go out of print. And hopefully DC will keep it in print for as long as they need to.
I agree with that. And I apologize, Bruce. It wasn't my intention. put you into debt. I just try and put out information about what books are good and leave it up to you to make the decision. I apologize if I put you in debt.
Well, that's the hard thing with the group and channels like yours and Near Mint Condition and Geo's channel is that it's a great opportunity for us nerds to come together and celebrate what we enjoy, but also it kind of stokes the fires of jealousy and envy sometimes. It's just one of the side effects of it, unfortunately.
Well,
but I think the benefits far outweigh the negatives, in my opinion.
I think the idea. Oh no, this is a good question by Bruce. Better than Justice and Kingdom Come. See, Justice is one of my all-time favorite books.
I've never read that.
Oh, good heavens!
Should I get that new deluxe that came out? Isn't the Absolute? Is that still in print?
I think the Absolute might be out of print, and the deluxe is supposed to take its place.
I'll do some research while you answer that question about which is better.
As much as I love New Frontier, I love Justice and Kingdom Come. Those are like 1, 2, and then New Frontier is 3. Justice, for some reason, it's one of those books that just absolutely hooks into me. I read it like twice a year because it's just memorable enough that I know I want to read it, but I always forget the twist. There's a twist in there, and I read so many comic books that it gets pushed out of my head, and I'm like, oh yeah, what's the twist here again? And I always fall for it. So
you and my wife are very similar in that way, is that she'll watch a movie and totally forget what happened. And the next time she'll watch it, she'll be like, I don't remember what happened at all. Or she'll be like, have we watched this before? We've watched it 3 times. I guess it's kind of a fun way to enjoy old things you've seen a million times or read a million times.
They're saying Absolute Justice is out of print. So
I couldn't find an IFT, so
the deluxe is worth getting then.
All
I just love, well, first of all, Alex Ross art, which is amazing. Alex Ross art, and then the story by Kruger is just great. I just think it's a great story. I think he's written a wonderful story.
So you say that Justice is better than Kingdom Come, in your opinion?
I am not saying that.
Oh, okay.
I don't.
So do you have an opinion about which one you like more?
I do like Justice more than Kingdom Come. I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying for some reason, Justice is my favorite book, and then Kingdom Come is second.
Okay.
Hey, now there's Cycle Cleveland. We haven't seen him in a minute.
Yeah, we've seen you in the comments, but not in the chat. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah. No, I think there's a huge amount of people out there that would say they like Kingdom Come better than Justice, and I'm not going to argue that because that's a classic, timeless story. And I would never say something is best. I would always say it's my favorite. So
right. We're very careful about that. Whenever we do our favorite videos, we put our favorite, not our best, because favorite is subjective, whereas best denotes objectivity.
Right.
This is the objective best. So we try to be objective here.
And people can't argue with favorites, but they can argue with best.
Oh, they can try to argue. They definitely will try, but they're not very successful because you can't argue against someone's subjective like about a book.
Yeah, exactly.
You can say objectively the art in this book isn't up to snuff, but you can't really argue against someone liking it. So if you have any questions, let us know, guys. Anything you guys want to talk about or move the direction of the chat?
Bruce, that's a good book too. Justice League, The World's Greatest Superheroes by Alex Ross and Paul Dini. That's those were magazine-sized books. They came out individually, like Wonder Woman, Truth, and Superman, Justice, and Batman, whatever it was. Cycle Cleveland still jamming me up 2 years later about my favorite Gang of Four song. The World's Greatest Superheroes is also really great.
I've never read that before either.
Yeah, I still have those magazine-sized books, and I the Absolute.
I think the Absolute's still on IST. As I was looking for Absolute Justice, I think I saw that copy. Maybe I'll get that in the future.
I think it was out of print for a while, and then it got re-released.
Okay. So Jess, I remember like a year or two ago, you did a video about your top. It was a random number, like top 11 or 12. Was it on it? Do you remember?
Sorry?
Was New Frontier on that list? I can't remember.
I know right where it is. I don't think New Frontier was on it.
Okay, so it's not one of your top 10 favorite books, but it's like top 20, maybe?
Oh yeah, I'd say it's in the top 20.
Okay. Someone has a question. Nman40 has a question.
Okay.
Do you think DC does too many alternative takes / one-shots with their heroes? If you like the story, then it's over forever, never continues, rather than having a story in continuity. What do you think, Jess?
I'm not sure I understand.
I think he's saying, do you think DC has too many Elseworld stories that don't in continuity? Or do you enjoy that aspect of it? That they have like one and dones? I personally enjoy it. I think it's good to kind of have a different flavor, kind of like how in the movies right now, I like the Joker movie. I didn't love it, but I like that DC is willing to do different takes and hire directors and be willing to follow their vision instead of making them all uniform movies that are exactly the same. I think DC does a good job of having different Elseworlds books that have different flavors, and it's a different sense than the main continuity. So I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I like having continuity. And I like having books outside of continuity because it kind of gives you a fresh take on these different characters. Otherwise, I think it gets kind of stale, in my opinion.
Here's an important question for you to answer.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago or a month ago. I think you definitely need to read Snyder's run before or alongside Tomasi's Batman and Robin run, in my opinion. And if you can, also read Batman by Grant Morrison, because something happens. I think it's in issue 18. You'll be very confused if you haven't read Grant Morrison's Batman Incorporated. Something very substantial happens in that book, and the ramifications are felt in the Batman and Robin series for issues and issues after that. I would say most definitely you have to read Snyder's run, and if you can, read Grant Morrison's run, which is across Batman, Batman and Robin, Batman Incorporated.
And then here's another important question. Can you just go right into Grant Morrison Omnis?
Wow. I think I've said this a couple of times before. I think Grant Morrison is like a PhD level Batman. I wouldn't give like a new reader Grant Morrison Batman. That's going to be incomprehensible to them. I first read his run back in 2015 when I was really getting back into comics, and I read it and I was like, this is okay, but it's so freaking confusing. What is going on? Now that I'm more of a seasoned Batman reader, I went back to it this past year and it made so much more sense. Mm-hmm. And it does require you to do some research on your own and somewhat understand some Silver Age concepts, like Robin Dies at Dawn, the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, and other things like Dr. Hurt. It requires you to know different things about the Silver Age to some degree. So I would say kind of spend more time with these more new reader-friendly books, which I already mentioned, and then dive into it later, and you'll get a lot more out of it.
Yeah. There's a private case book. Do you have that?
I don't have it. Do you have it?
I do, yeah. I'm trying to see where it is. Because that really helps too. The private case book.
I wonder if that's on In Stock Trades or if it's just on Amazon. Let me see if I can find it. Is it black? Is it black casebook? Or is it
black casebook or private casebook? And I thought I knew right where it was, and now I'm not finding it.
Jess, you haven't read Grant Morrison's run since it came out in singles, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you it's probably out of your mind to some degree. Do you remember being confused by it, or did you understand a lot about it because you were very much into the old continuity?
I remember understanding it.
Okay. It looks like I can't really find it on Amazon either, except on the secondary market. So you might have a hard time finding the Black
The
Case book.
private case book is by Paul Dini. I'm thinking of some.
The private case book is by Paul Dini. The Black Case book is by Grant Morrison, explaining his run and giving you background information. The Black Case book, I can't find it on Amazon besides in the secondary market.
Oh, here it is. Okay, here it is.
What's it look like on the inside? Is it like comic book stories, or is it an explanation of those stories?
It is reprints of the Silver Age stories.
I'm gonna see if it's on Hoopla. I wonder if it's on Hoopla, because I'm not seeing it for like regular price on Amazon. You have to buy it on the secondary market, and the small. you should see the prices on here. The cheapest one is $70.
$70.
Some people are selling it for $900. You think someone's gonna buy this for $900? That makes zero sense to me. That'll never make sense to me. Is anyone really selling those books for that price?
I don't know how that algorithm works. Eisner Award-winning writer Grant Morrison introduces these classic tales from the Cape Crusaders' most exuberant era. As writer of the mind-warping Batman R.I.P., Morrison incorporated elements from these bizarre and offbeat adventures into Batman's latest epic. Delve into the Black Case book, Batman's secret journal chronicling his strangest cases. Unlock its secrets and discover their impact on the Dark Knight today in the hour of his final crisis.
Yeah, I don't think you really have to have that book. You can do a lot of research online. I mean,
I think it was a fun book to get. I mean, I'm not going to go out and spend $900 on it.
Yeah, even if you're rich like Bruce Wayne, don't spend $900 on that book.
No.
It's not worth it. And actually, Jess and I have been kind of teasing this video for a while. We were going to do a video about Grant Morrison's run, but we're actually going to wait until the final Omni comes out so Jess can read all 3 Omnis, and then we'll do a video talking about his run, probably in the summer sometime. So if you're interested in reading his run, this is a great year to read it because you can join in our video and we can have a read along to some degree and review the series. So if you want to read that series, definitely read it before the summer, and Jess and I will do an in-depth review on that series because Jess hasn't read it since it first came out. Like over
when did it come out? Was that back in the mid-2000s?
Yeah, it ended in like 2011, 2012. So it's been like 7 years since it ended. So it's been a long time since you've probably read all of them.
Yeah.
So we'll wait for the final. I'm not picking up the absolutes. I mean the Omnis. I have them all in trade paperback, and I'm fine with that. So I'll wait till Jess gets his Omnis. That's a lot of stuff to read. That's a lot of material to work your way through. So we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, and I should probably reread Snyder and Batman and Robin by Tomasi, and to go along with Grant Morrison, so I get a better understanding. So because I was reading all of those at the same time.
Right. You definitely don't have enough to read right now, Jess.
Sorry?
You definitely don't have enough to read right now. You have very few books on your plate.
Jiminy Crickets.
Psycho Cleveland says you can find the Black Case book for $40 or best offer on eBay. So if you really are interested, it's still probably over cover price, I'm assuming. But if you're really interested, then
cover's $18.
Yeah, so it's double cover, but it's at least that's the best option for you if you want to buy that book and you don't have it already.
And I mean, really, Batman meets Bat-Mite. Do you really have to have that for $40?
Again, just look up the stuff on Wikipedia. Just look up Batman as Bernard, look up Bat-Mite. I don't think you need to have this book because I haven't read it and I was perfectly fine just having the Batman knowledge that I have with reading him in continuity from. I'm more of an 80s on guy. I'm not very much. I'm more of like a post-crisis reader. So that's pretty much where my area of expertise lies with Batman. And I've been fine with reading that run without having all that Silver Age knowledge. I just have kind of accumulated things on YouTube and Wikipedia. So I would just recommend you do that. What's Michael Cleveland saying? OmniDog is free to be Patricia Marie.
He's going, this is Howard Stern talk.
Oh, okay. Oh, someone says that Black Casebook's available on Comixology. That's definitely your cheapest option then.
Yeah.
So Jess, have you been using Hoopla yet?
I have not.
Oh man.
I don't know. I keep forgetting to look at what Image books are coming out because I want to use it for Image in DC. So I will definitely use it this coming week. If there are any Image books for sale, I will instead check them out on the Hoopla app.
So now you're trying to really focus your attention on hardcovers instead of those thin Image trades. You're trying to wait for the hardcovers to inevitably come out and read those trades on Hoopla.
Right.
Instead of having to pay the post and upgrade. Right. I definitely need to read Paper Girls now that it's all available on Hoopla. I have the first 2 hardcovers, and I don't know when the third one will come out. They take a long time to get these out. It's kind of frustrating sometimes. And I get it because, at least for Image, it's the creators paying for it up front. And they make money off the back end. So I get why they can maybe be a lot in between hardcovers.
Bruce Cycle Cleveland is talking Howard Stern talk right now. He's sort of in a silent conversation with me. Not encouraging or discouraging him. He's just shooting random Howard Stern references off.
Only thing I know about Howard Stern is Baba Booey and Hey Now. Oh, no.
Right.
There's both Howard Stern stuff.
Yeah.
Can we discuss? I mean, I don't know what he's doing.
That's another Howard Stern reference.
Oh gosh.
I think he's on a Howard Stern tear now.
Okay. We can expect some Howard Stern comments from Psycho Cleveland later on in the comment section.
Here's a comic book comment from Travis Gilmer talking about Paper Girls. Yeah. Is it over?
It is over now. So the 6th and final trade paperback is available to read on Hoopla.
Oh.
So I actually, on my Christmas break, I might just burn through the entire Paper Girls, read the first 2 hardcovers, and read the rest on Hoopla. Because I think it's really hard for me to rank Brian K. Vaughan's work because they're all so good. How do you think you would rate his creator-owned works?
Gosh.
Best to least favorite. That's a hard endeavor, I think.
I don't. Well, wait. What are his creator-owned?
So there's Paper Girls,
Yeah.
Saga, Ex Machina, Why the Last Man.
Oh, those. Oh, you said. I thought you said creator-owned.
Yeah, those are creator-owned, aren't they?
Those are for Why the Last Man was for Vertigo.
Oh well, to some his independent books. I'll say it that way. His non like Marvel DC superhero books.
Okay.
What do you think? Do you think you have a ranking that you could think of?
Okay, wait a minute. Let's
let us know in the chat what you guys think.
Yeah. Wait, I'm missing one.
There's that We Stood on Guard. I never read that.
Oh, yeah.
Side of Baghdad, which I haven't read.
Saga. I love Why the Last Man. It's been a while since I've read Ex Machina.
I loved Ex Machina.
I did too, but
that might be my favorite.
It's been a long time. I should reread that.
I was kind of disappointed by Why the Last Man's ending.
I think I've heard a lot of people say that.
I thought it was a little bit too long sometimes too. It kind of felt like a retread. I thought it was good overall. I just don't think it's his best. I don't think it's in his top 3. I think my top 3 are Ex Machina, Saga, and Paper Girls.
Oh, Paper Girls. Okay.
I love Paper Girls. And that's actually a comic book that my wife is interested in reading. And years ago, she read a lot of Saga, but she got kind of frustrated because it wasn't finished. And so she wants to wait until it's finished to read the whole thing. But she has seen my Paper Girl pink hardcover, and she says, I want to read that. So I'm hoping to get her to read that sometime soon. because Brian K. Vaughan is a great way for non-comic book readers to get into books, like even your wife or your girlfriend or your friend, male or female. I think it can get anyone into comic books.
Travis Gilmer didn't enjoy Private Eye.
Oh, I never read that.
What I don't like about Private Eye is how impossible it is to store it.
That's why I don't want to buy it. Cause where do I put it on my shelf? It's gonna look weird.
It is so annoying.
Even Barrier, I want to read Barrier, but where am I going to put it?
Yeah, I've got it as a collection of. I think I've got the comics. Yeah, I ended up buying
my library. I should just rent it at my library. They have that weird horizontal hardcover.
Yeah, I don't dig that format.
So, did you say what your favorite was? I can't remember.
I loved Why the Last Man. I'm gonna say why. I don't know. I love Saga too, but I haven't read the third book.
And Saga hasn't finished yet, so maybe you can't fully comment on it yet.
Why?
Okay.
I did like Why.
Okay.
All the way through.
Let's see what a lot of people are saying. A lot of people are saying Travis Gilmore said Saga, Paper Girls, Machina. A lot of people are commenting. I haven't read Why the Last Man, says Carl N, Ex Machina or Paper Girls, but I do love Saga. Saga has definitely been the biggest phenomenon since The Walking Dead and comic books, for sure. That's helped really open the door for a lot of different people.
Oh my gosh, I haven't even read Runaways.
Me either. Is that Omni still out? They have thick trades, I think, which is more. I like thick trades, so I might have to read it in that way. I need to use Marvel Unlimited more than I do. I don't know why. I just don't think of it sometimes.
Me either.
I know you have that problem too, based on your Old Man Logan haul from last night. Okay, River asked a great question. Did you all enjoy Kill or Be Killed? I'm going to go out on a limb here. I told Jess this. I think that's my favorite crime comic of all time. It's my favorite.
All time.
That or Scalped. But I think it's my favorite Brubaker crime book.
That's amazing.
Brubaker, I don't think that Phillips has ever been better than in that book. And Elizabeth Breitweiser's colors are astounding in that book. It just reminds me of like an early 70s Martin Scorsese movie, like Mean Streets or Taxi Driver. It really has that kind of atmosphere to it, and I really enjoy it. It's that question of, is this a demonic force that's making Dylan kill these people, or is it actually his own mental issues? And I thought it was a really interesting protagonist, a really interesting story. I didn't think there was a bad issue in the bunch. I thought it was great. And so I think that and Criminal are probably my favorite Brubaker books.
I had a really visceral reaction to this book. Maybe because of all the medication he was on and stuff, and the demon and what he was, either he was or he wasn't seeing. I don't know. It really got to me. So that's a pretty powerful statement that a comic could affect me that way. So you might be right. This might be his best work. For it to affect me that way, it's got to be a really, really good book to affect me so emotionally, because it really pulled at some of my own issues and made me feel sympathetic towards the main protagonist. Not that I want to go out and fight crime, but I related to him in some of his issues.
Yeah, Psycho Cleveland, I don't think I'm walking it back. I'm just saying that it's my favorite Brubaker book, and it possibly might be my favorite crime comic. I just need to think about it more, because in Crime Corner, Jess and I are eventually going to get to Scalped, and I read Scalped like 4 years ago, so I want to read Scalped a second time to make my final decision about that book. But it's definitely either Scalped or Kill or Be Killed for my favorite crime book as of right now. But Brubaker has so many different books, and someone says that Velvet is underrated. I love Velvet.
I agree.
Art by Steve Epting. It's cool to see. I love the Brubaker-Phillips dynamic duo, but it was cool to see him with a different artist. which he worked with Epting on Captain America too. They both work really well together.
Man, Cycle was on top of you for that one.
I think I'm trying to say both. I'm trying to say the same thing. Just I think it's the best Brubaker comic. I think it might be my favorite crime comic. I said I need to read Scalp again to make sure I stand behind that final statement.
Right. I totally get it.
But Brubaker has so many great books. It's hard to choose. The Fade Out, Fatale, Velvet, Criminal, Scene of the Crime. His Daredevil run is great. His Captain America run is great. Apparently, his only bad book is Deadly Genesis, which I've never read. I had no plans to read.
Do not read that. I don't think he really wrote that. I think some editor at Marvel did.
Someone's talking about earlier in the chat about the JLA Omni by Grant Morrison. That thing looks like a behemoth. Isn't that going to be like 1,500 pages or something?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be huge.
I don't know why DC keeps doing that. It's like there's no way the binding can support a book that huge.
I don't know either.
I refuse to buy an Omni that's over 1,000 pages. They're just way too hard to read. But I mean, that's just my personal opinion. If you like massive Omnis, that's awesome for you. You'll enjoy that Omni. I just can't get into Omnis that are really cumbersome to read like that.
Yeah, they are awkward to read.
And DC's binding is known to be bear traps too, especially with a book that big.
Yeah. Here's a good question. The answer is I didn't get it. There's an Old Man Logan book I didn't get. Let me look.
The volume 0. I hate when they do stuff like that.
I wouldn't even think to look for volume 0.
Let me look it up on Amazon, see what that's about.
No, thank you, N-Man 40, for telling me about it. Is it where do I read it in order? Is it?
Oh, right. It's Brian Michael Bendis did an arc with Andrea Sorrentino before Jeff Lemire hopped on, and that was tying into the Secret Wars.
Oh, then I have that. That's
you do have it.
Wars
Yep,
box.
Wolverine, Old Man Logan, Volume 0, War Zones. So you do.
Oh, I have that.
Okay.
I do have that.
Yeah, I remember like 2 years ago, you had all those Secret Wars books read.
Right. I read all those.
25 books or something.
Right. I did. It was like over the summer I read them all.
N-Man 40, I've never had an Omni fall apart on me. I've definitely had some Omnis that I've had to return. I remember my first Omni ever, one of my first in-stock trades order was Alias by Brian Michael Bendis, and I opened it up and it immediately fell apart.
Which one?
Alias by Bendis. That was my first Omni ever back in 2015. It was my first in-stock trades order. I was so excited to read an Omni because I saw Riley talk about it. And I was like, I want to be an omnibus collector like Riley. It falls apart on me. I email Emily and be like, what do I do here? And they sent me another copy and it was fine. But that was my first experiences with Omnis, is one falling apart. So I know Jess has always had, me and Jess were joking around yesterday because Jess has never had like a damaged book like ever. He has like 100% success rate at Amazon. He says 9 out of 10 books arrive perfect. For me, it's 9 out of 10 books are damaged.
I've never had a damaged book from Amazon. I've even, from now, if you even if you throw in third-party sellers, most of those come in undamaged. But I've had some terrible experiences with third-party sellers. But straight from Amazon itself, I've had nothing. I've had no damaged books, and I'm talking about a box with the plastic pillows with no air in them whatsoever.
Yeah,
tossed in there completely flat, and it's I have no idea how I've gotten away with it.
Far and away, the best packaging from a third party has been Jess. Jess has sent me a couple books. They're always in perfect condition. Psycho Cleveland, big statement. He says that Alias is as good as Kill or Be Killed.
Wow.
I'm a fan of Alias. I don't agree with that. I think Kill or Be Killed is better, but Alias is a great book. And I'm sure Jess and I will eventually get to it on Crime Corner.
Yeah.
At some point. I haven't read that since 2015. I should reread that.
I need to reread that too. I haven't read that since like 2013.
Bruce Johannes, I don't think that's a true statement. I don't think Jess gets preferential treatment.
It's overnight shipping for free from IST. No, I wish. I don't though.
Oh man, Carl N. I had to return my Absolute Justice League World's Greatest Heroes because there was some extra glue spilled over on the fold-out poster.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's some things that I feel bad for IST because it's not their fault. It's not their fault a book was made improperly, but you can still return it though. I feel like that stinks for them. I wonder if they get any reimbursement from Marvel or DC for defective books, or if they just take the loss themselves. Because I mean, a book arriving damaged is one thing, but a book arriving with like pages falling out or glue on it—that's not IST's fault.
No. Travis thinks there's a distribution center near me, and that's why it doesn't have to travel far. That's why I get lucky with books.
I remember back in the day that Lou always got his books like that Friday when he ordered them on.
Oh yeah,
It was always like, "Oh, I got it already." It was like it's been 3 days.
that's right. I remember that.
It takes me like a week and a half usually to get an IST order, but I don't really care because my backlog is substantial. So I can't complain.
I never care about whenever IST orders come in because, well, if you just saw my haul video from yesterday, that's a normal person's, 5 months worth of books.
The only reason why I care right now is because I ordered a Christmas gift from my parents from In Stock Trades, and I'm not sure if it'll get here before Christmas. I don't really care, but my mom likes to see us open our gifts, so we'll see.
Oh.
But I can't complain because IST's always treated me right.
Yeah.
I'll wait a little bit extra time for a perfect book that's not damaged.
Yeah, I'm rolling the dice with cheap graphic novels.
Oh yeah, tell the group what you had to do with your X-Men book.
My X-Men book?
Didn't you have to order
House of X?
Yeah.
I flipped out when I didn't see it on IST, and so I ordered it from cheap graphic novels. I did exactly what I told everybody else not to do, and that is panic. So do as I say, not as I do.
I texted Jess whenever IST updated their stuff on Tuesday and says the variant's not there for House of X, and you're like, what? And like, I'll just wait. And then literally 20 minutes later, you said I ordered it off cheap graphic novels.
And the only reason I did that was because it was orderable, and it said 1 to 11 days before it will even be in. We don't know, so it could be like mid-January before I get this book. And literally 2 days later, IST said, "Yeah, it's in stock. You can order it now." And if I had had just an ounce of patience, I would have, been able to order it and know that I would have gotten it, no problem. But
yeah, if it had been a Christmas gift, I would have waited.
Yeah,
I just need to order it now. Otherwise, it's not going to get here before Christmas. And my mom's going to be like, "Why don't you have another gift to open?" So I thought it'd be better for me just to order it. I can live with it. It's not a big deal. Even though that DM cover is awesome by Mark Brooks.
Yeah,
I prefer it.
But it's I don't know. CGN is sort of weird. It's just that they're so vague about like 1 to 11 days, and it may or may not ship on time, and business days are Monday through Friday, don't count Saturday and Sunday, and we're not responsible for this or that. And I'm like, I wonder if I'm going to get this book at all.
Can you return books if they're damaged there?
Sorry?
Can you return books if they arrive damaged? Because you said they're not responsible for certain things.
Oh, I don't know. I
ask Omar that kind of question because that's his sponsor, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure that you can if they arrive damaged. They package in newspaper, and they usually package fairly well.
Yeah, I've never ordered through them. I've always done IST, and then whenever I am stupid, I order off Amazon and get a damaged book. I get mad at myself. I'm always like, I'm never gonna do it again. And then I get an Amazon gift card, and I'm like, I guess I'll try it again. I'll roll the dice. And I get mad at myself. There's been a couple of times where it's arrived undamaged, and it's like it's almost like a miraculous experience for me.
Well, there's a book I know I'm not going to get, and I don't know why they haven't canceled it yet. Is Amazing Spider-Man, Cosmic Adventures, Epic collection. It said 1 to 11 days, but that thing's been out of print for 3 weeks now, and they're not getting any more in.
Which
I
book?
know that I'm going to get something that says this book has been your order's been canceled.
You mean for the X-Men variant cover?
No,
Book.
Spider-Man Cosmic Adventures.
Oh, sorry, I missed that part. Okay.
Yeah, Spider-Man Cosmic Adventures Epic. That thing's been out of print. I ordered that like 3 weeks ago, and I've seen no shipping order on it or anything. And I just know that I don't know why they're waiting. They need to just cancel it. Because I know I missed it. I didn't get it on IST in time, and so I ran to CGN, and I think I missed it there too.
Okay. Yeah,
I did get Children of the Atom, which I'm happy. That's the one I really wanted from the X-Men book.
Okay. Is it the one you had in your haul yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cosmic Adventures Epic will be back on IST. Yo, cool. Okay.
Never even heard of that.
I don't think it will be, because they were tiny print runs on those. It's not like they're reprinting them.
It's so hard to guess sometimes what books will go automatically out of stock on in-stock trades. If it's a Dark Horse book, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion. Like a library edition or anything like that, or Berserk. Like that Berserk stuff always sells out day one. But sometimes it's hard to guess with Omnis. Other books as well.
Well, the thing with those epics, Cosmic Adventures, Children of the Atom, and then the Golden Avenger Iron Man one, they did tiny print runs, Marvel did, and then they didn't send them to Amazon. They only sent them to comic shops and places like CGN and IST, and that was it.
Okay.
They're not reprinting them. So
I definitely don't envy Cameron and other people at IST who have to decide how much they're going to order of each book. That has to be such a hard decision to figure out how much you're going to get, because you have no idea. You could buy way too many and have way too much stock, or you could buy way too little and end up having people going somewhere else.
yeah.
I definitely don't envy them. I don't know how I guess they probably have some kind of algorithm or some kind of program that helps them.
My understanding is Cameron is the king of the algorithm.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like a super hardcore numbers guy that knows exactly how to work those numbers in his favor. So he knows exactly what he's doing with numbers.
I remember the one time where I was in Haiti once a couple years ago, and I wanted to get that first Avengers Omni by Hickman, and I knew it was going to be coming out while I was on my trip. And I'm like, okay, I can probably wait until I get back home, because my internet connection was really spotty. I barely ever had internet. I get back in the airport and it's like out of stock after a couple of days, and I was like, no,
Oh,
because it was just automatically gone after a couple of days.
I need the first 3 X-Men epics. What's the third epic in Man 40? I have the first 2. What's the third one called?
Psycho Cleveland, it was worth it. Not getting that Omni. I have them all in hardcover, which is fine for me. I actually prefer deluxe size hardcovers anyway. Jess, you sent me a notification for a video while I'm watching the stream. Videoception. Well, you ready to wrap this up, Jess?
Sure. Wait, I want to see what N-Man 40 says is the third. Just future epic reprints pre-order through DCBS. Okay, good point, Bruce. I want to find out what the third X-Men one I need is.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting for that answer, if you have any other questions to throw into the wire, let us know. It's called the Sentinels Live. Is that what you're looking for?
Sentinels Live, I think.
Or Live. That was a big brain fart.
The concert.
Wow.
The concert is Sentinels Live.
Okay.
The Sentinels Live. Okay, thanks, N-Man 40.
I see live at the top of my StreamYard thing right here, so I guess I'd had that burned into my brain. Can't read right now.
The only reason I'm sort of keeping it going is because we have more people than ever.
Okay. Well, I'm happy to go. I'm happy to keep going.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean,
have any more questions?
people are asking questions. I figure we're okay.
My wife hasn't texted me yet, so maybe I'm safe. You know how that goes sometimes.
So the Sentinels Live. I don't think I have that. It came out in November last year. Okay, I'm pretty sure I don't have it.
Travis Gilmer asked, does Strangers in Paradise interest me at all? If he's specifically talking to me. I've never read anything by Terry Moore personally. And I've heard that Strangers in Paradise is by far his weakest book.
I agree.
I think you've always said that, was it Rachel Rising is better?
Oh, yeah. It is. And Echo.
Okay. And was that Motor Girl or something?
Motor Girl's great.
Okay. I never read any of those things. I don't even know what Strangers in Paradise is even about, so I'm not sure.
It's like a love triangle.
Well, his books seem to sell out really quick, so they're kind of hard to get if you don't buy them right away.
I'm really surprised it's still up at IST.
Oh, it is. Doesn't he publish them himself?
Yeah. I'm super surprised that at a 25% discount or 30% discount, this thing has been a whale for 7 years or whatever. And it's still, I don't know anything about the book business.
Me either.
I just would have assumed immediately it would have sold out. And here, Shattershot apparently is the one that's selling out.
Really? What's that even? It's like a 90s X-Men book?
Yeah.
Man. I remember Riley and Omar were joking around. They were the only ones who were going to buy it, but I guess they weren't.
Yeah.
It's always so funny hearing Omar just like say, I'm an idiot. I always buy every book, even though I hate it.
Yeah.
He's like, I know, I'm an idiot. I'm buying it.
I know. He's triple dipping on X-Men stuff all the time.
Who do you think has more books in their library, you or Omar?
I don't know. Probably Omar. He's got an awful lot of manga.
His room tour was like an hour and a half. That was huge.
Oh, well then he's got way more than I do.
It was a lot. It was very extensive. He had that huge wall of Transformers. Well, you have a really impressive setup too. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't have I think he's been collecting longer than I have too.
Well, yeah, he's been collecting collected editions longer than you have.
Yeah.
You've been collecting longer than him in terms of comics.
Yeah.
Omar's rolling in free books right now. Yeah, he has a good setup with Marvel. That's good for him. I'm really happy for him.
And Dark Horse and Dynamite.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Dark Horse sometimes sends him stuff. Dynamite sends him stuff.
It's my goal for you to become DC's Omar. DC's your biggest wheelhouse, like your biggest level of knowledge.
Yeah, I would say
so. Also, they send us books to review and to show off. So DC, if you're watching this, pick up Jess. You need him.
Yeah, right here, dude. I'm a free agent. I'm available. Jess has better records for sure.
Unless they were dropped by Omar.
That
was so funny.
Oh, he just came in and started messing with my action figures and taking pictures, and then all these albums fell over onto my action figures. Oh my gosh.
I love that live stream when you guys were sitting next to each other. It looked like you guys were about to get like in an arm wrestling match or something. They were like, take it easy. Whoa, whoa. Like, and Omar was like, whoa, no. Like, it was just like funny. Like, you just be like kind of like pulling the reins and he'd be trying to like say different stuff. That was funny. You guys are a funny pair down in your basement.
Oh, he knows exactly what buttons to push on me. And I let him do it too. It's crazy.
Yeah, the plan is to do a live stream down in your basement when I'm there for AwesomeCon, but I don't think it'll be as confrontational as you and Omar.
I doubt it. Now, when will we do that? When you come over on Saturday?
I think so. Yeah, they're probably the best because I think trying to do it at the convention center would be a nightmare.
No, yeah, it'd be too noisy.
That'd probably be the best. We can also keep it to. I also looked at our schedule. That is a Saturday that we have a show, so that could be a regular show. That'll be fun. Jess said I can come into his cave as long as I don't touch anything. As long as I wear gloves.
I know that you'll be more respectful than Omar was. Omar just came in and started touching everything.
I won't touch things. I'll be fine. I can just look. I'll act like it's a museum. Look, don't touch.
It's fine if you touch things. I'm totally kidding.
MJR, have you guys read Twilight of the Bat? I've never heard of that.
Twilight of the Bat.
Let me look it up. Let's see what we got here. Have you ever heard of it?
I don't think so. Twilight of the Bat?
Huh. I'm not seeing it. I see bats, swift shadows in the twilight. It's like a random book about actual bats. I'm not sure. I can't find it. Let us know what it is.
Yeah, what is it? What's Twilight of the Bat? Maybe it's
Hayden McGee, that's a weird comment.
that is a weird comment.
I'm not sure where you're going with that, but I guess we can move on. Best Batman book of the decade by Simmons and Keck.
Is it out in floppy right now?
I'm trying to look. Let me try with those names.
Oh, Twilight of the Bat is by Kurt Busiek.
I thought that was wait.
I thought that's coming out in March or something.
Yeah, I thought that was called something else. Let me see. That was called Creature of the Night, I think.
Oh, Creature of the Night.
Yeah, I'm not sure what book this is. I can't find it. Maybe I'm just not looking up correctly. I'm not sure. I never heard of that book.
Yeah, I don't know Twilight of the Bat. Twilight of the Bat is an underground comic.
Huh. No wonder I haven't heard of it. Does that mean it's like, is that a Batman book or is it like an unlicensed Batman book? I'm not sure.
By Cold Cube Press.
Hmm.
The maybe you can put the well, you gave us Cold Cube Press, so we can look that up.
Marcelo Ramos has a question about Batman.
That's a good one.
So other than Tomasi or Morrison's, any Batman and Robin recommendations? Go look back at my shelf.
Yeah.
Let me see. Can you think of any?
Batman and Robin?
Or I guess maybe books about Batman and Robin. I can't think of any at the top of my head.
No, me either.
I would say Dark Victory is really a good Batman and Robin story. Because that shows how Dick and Bruce meet. Kind of a retelling of Robin's origin. That was a really good story. Although I can't think of any others ones right now. Yeah, I'm not sure. Hayden McGee, I don't think Batman and Robin by Joel Schumacher counts.
Yeah.
Super Sons. Yeah, Travis says Super Sons. That's a great book, even though it's not really Batman and Robin. That's a great Robin book.
Yeah. I just put Adventures of Super Sons Volume 2 on my wish list.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I definitely need to read that new series. That's by Tomasi as well, right?
Right.
Okay. I definitely have to read that.
I bought the first trade from him at Baltimore.
Okay.
Okay, well, yeah, it's 5:45. We should probably wrap this up.
Yeah, I should probably get down to dinner.
We are going to be doing a pre-recorded version of Crime Corner. What books are we on Monday? What books are we covering on Crime Corner, Taylor?
So on Crime Corner, we're going to be doing a new segment it's going to be throughout this upcoming year, which is our favorite superhero crime comics. This will be part 1 of that new segment, and we'll return to it throughout the year. We'll have it in February as well with a special guest from the Omnibus group. So this first video is going to be about Incognito by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, as well as Punisher Max by Jason Aaron and Steve Dillon. So those will be our first 2 focuses. And then in January, we'll return just talking about regular crime comics. And then throughout the year, we'll probably have like 2 or 3 of these videos about superhero crime comics. So that's Crime Corner. And then 2 weeks from today, our last Baturday in the Batcave of the year is going to be the 2nd volume of Detective Comics by Tomasi. That's going to be Arkham Knight. And as you all know, Mythology was my favorite, not just Batman book of the year, my favorite book of the year. And so I'm really excited to get my hands on this book and read it as soon as possible. I'm hoping I know it's not going to be as good. Maybe it will be, but I'm not expecting it to. I'm trying to go into it with good expectations. I'm expecting it to be a solid Batman book because Tomasi has never let me down. So that'll be in 2 weeks. So we have Crime Corner coming up on Monday, and then December 28th, we'll have our next Baturdays.
Nice. Excellent.
Well, thank you, everyone, for interacting in the chat. That was probably our best chat so far.
I agree.
That was great. Maybe we'll have to have it later like this every single time. We'll see.
Yeah, we got a lot of participation. I appreciate it. Thank you, chat. Thank you to our viewers. And I appreciate anybody that hits the like button. Please feel free to subscribe. And we always answer all the comments that people leave. So please feel free to leave a comment. I love answering comments. So does Taylor. So thank you for tuning in. Peace and love. Peace and love.
See you guys.